to another lunch break with ATI. Thank you for joining us. My name is Cindy Collins. I'm one of the co-founders of Actors Theater of Indiana. And today, usually we do our podcasts at our office. But today, we are here at Feinstein's. We've done this is our third podcast here at Feinstein's, actually. So every once in a while, we go off-site. And today is one of those days. So this is why we're here. We're here because tomorrow night, Thursday, June 23rd, I think it's June 23rd tomorrow night.
It is.
All day?
All day.
All day. Yeah. We are doing our ATI Live at Feinstein's. And we do one cabaret a month here. We have a partnership with Feinstein's. It's absolutely wonderful. And it's called ATI Live. And this month, it is just a couple of fools. And I am here with the fools today. Here I am at Feinstein's with the fools. And the fools are Darrin Murrell and John Vessels. Now, these guys are great. They're our friends. On the piano is Brent Marty. We're gonna see him a little later. Brent's back there.
Hi.
There he is, back there hiding because he's very shy. And but anyway, this is one of our, like I said, one of our ATI Live cabarets. And John and Darrin were in The Big Bang. That was one of our productions last season, and with Brent Marty on the 88s as well in that show. And when we were doing our lineup, trying to figure out what we were going to book, like I said, we book once a month, they came up with the idea to do just a couple of fools. I'm going to let them explain it to you, but as you see, I'm wearing my bowler hat in tribute to Lou Costello, Stan Laurel. What this is it's a throwback to all those comedic teams and vaudeville and all that music of really a bygone era. You're going to hear a song today because we're lucky enough to come in here. They're actually rehearsing, so they've been kind enough to take the time and do this podcast with us because the show's tomorrow night. Hello. So they're trying to get in as much. It is. Newsflash. So they're trying to get in as much rehearsal time as possible. Well, what I want to do is I just want to talk to the fellas before they do their shtick, and you can get to know a little bit about them. So Darrin and John, yes, I know, and Darrin and John have worked for us, and I can't right now think of how many productions they've done with Actors Theater of Indiana.
A few. We
So
did Big
many.
Bang together.
Yeah.
We did Edwin Drood together.
That's right.
Certainly
The
did.
Mystery of Edwin Drood. Darrin was in The Odd Couple.
Odd
I think
Couple.
that might have been your
My
first.
Fair Lady.
My God, yeah. I think Odd Couple was your first show with us.
Was it? I think that might
That
be
was-
true.
and then-
I've directed a couple.
And Darrin's directed a couple, right? And John was in Ruthless with us, and he's done his Lillian Baxter show up here at the studio theater with his lovely partner,
Should've
Jay
been
Schwan.
I was in Chicago
Should've been.
many
He was in
years
Chicago,
ago.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, and Cabaret we did together.
Holy mackerel. Okay.
And that
So,
hilarious show, Sweeney Todd.
Oh, that laugh riot.
well, that's always yeah.
How many
it's,
gold?
it's upbeat. But, that's right, my gosh. Okay, so wonderful, yes. Now, Darrin, tell us about, you're from here, you're original Hoosier.
I was. I grew up here and
You
went
did.
away for a long time and
Yeah.
then came back to raise kids. My family, my parents are still in the area. So about 18 years ago, my daughter just graduated from high school a couple weekends ago.
That's all.
So, yes.
Where's she going?
She'll be going to IU in Bloomington in the
All right.
fall, right? So, so we've been here about 18 years raising the kids and had a great time. Love our relationship with ATI.
Yeah.
But it was when I was little and here living in Indiana that my grandfather always used to talk about being in World War II, and he didn't talk much about the war, but the one thing he remembered was seeing Bob Hope when he had been injured and was recovering, and Bob Hope and the USO tour came through.
Yeah.
And that had really lifted his spirits. And I thought the world of my grandfather. He was kind of a hero to me, and I always remembered that story. And so when I was old enough to be going to the library, I would do research on Bob Hope and Bing Crosby and Red Skelton and Jack Benny and Abbott and Costello and the Marx Brothers, and realized the thing they all had in common was vaudeville. That's where they started.
They all came from
and
there.
it all started
Exactly.
there. And and all those Saturday and Sunday matinee movies that I would watch of all their old
Me
shows,
too.
right?
Me too.
I mean, that's
Every
how I
Sunday.
knew them. Yeah.
Every Sunday I watched an Abbott and Costello movie.
Yep. Absolutely.
Oh God, I love them. That's what I grew up with.
So this show is kind of a way to bring those memories, that tribute to those performers and what they did for my grandfather, what they did for me growing up, and kind of bringing them to another generation.
I agree with you. I think that, to me, it's just me. I don't think that humor ever gets old.
Right.
I think their minds, you don't realize how brilliant all their minds were and how fast they thought and how clever. They were so clever. And you watch their routines and you're like, oh my gosh, that's funny. But the work that went into those routines that they all did, the Marx, like you said, Abbott and Costello, the Marx Brothers, even Laurel and Hardy, my gosh. I mean, they were consummate professionals because they worked their butts off, all of them. And during World War II especially, exactly,
right,
like the Andrews sisters, they went everywhere without question. Without question, where you're going, get on a plane. Where are we going? Well, we're not sure this time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like, okay, I'm going. Wherever the troops are, I'm going. I mean, that's in itself bravery to me.
Sure, absolutely.
You know what I mean? My dad was in World War II. It's funny, they don't talk about it a lot.
Right.
Didn't talk about it a lot. But all that music and all that, I was influenced by my dad too, with all that. And that was in the house and watching those movies and listening to that
I
music.
think it pulled that generation, with humor back into life after things had seemed so bleak.
That's
and,
right.
The horrors that they, encountered, through this experience.
I agree.
The laughter was the one thing that kind of brought them back home.
Well, you have to have that. Yeah. You have to have humor to get you through the hard times, And I think I think almost everybody agrees with that. Comedians think that way. Theater people think that way. The comedy, it's almost humor can get you through,
Well, it's
yes,
of
John Vessels.
note. It is of note that there's not one funny thing that is a happy thing.
Right.
There's not one funny thing that's a happy thing.
Right.
And so laughter is a coping mechanism.
Exactly.
It's crying with a smile on your face.
Right.
And so it's why it is universal. It's why it affects people in the way it does.
Yeah.
It's because it's another form of release that's just a more pleasant version.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now that you're speaking.
What? What have I done? Yes.
You're actually verbalizing something. Yeah. Tell John.
It shows.
Tell us
What would you like to know?
anything you'd like to tell me.
Well, I was born at a very early age.
Yes.
And,
That's the first thing you ever did.
Yes,
I think.
yes. Very loud.
Well, where are you from? Are you from here? Where are
I'm
you
from Kentucky originally.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm on the northern part of Kentucky, just on the sloppy part of the map between Kentucky and Indiana.
Okay.
There's a blob at the top of Kentucky. I live in the blob. It's Meade County, Kentucky, and it actually looks like a tiny hand is reaching up into Indiana. It's true.
Wow.
I live in a creepy hand.
You're learning a lot. Let me tell you, there's always an educational component here.
Now, I've had a relationship with Indiana since about 2007.
Okay.
And in 2004. Oh gosh, it goes further back. So in 2004, I did The Music Man at Beef and Board's Dinner Theater. And then I didn't hear from them for a while. And then all of a sudden, blam, 3 years later, they said, do you want to come to a show called Smoke on the Mountain?
Right.
Which is a cuckoo banana plant show. It's just silliness all the way around. And so I did that, and 2 years later, my partner Jay and I said, you work in Indiana more than we work in Chicago. Let's go down to Indiana. Mm-hmm. And so we've been there pretty much ever since.
Yeah. And you and I met doing Annie at Beef and Boards.
Yep.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Frank Marty from Beyond the Piano. Yeah, I completely just forgot about that.
Yeah,
and you and I met doing that. You were the butler.
Yes.
And I was.
Chances are, if you see me on a stage around parts, chances are I am in a butler's outfit. I buttle very well.
He does buttle.
I put the button buttle.
You buttled the hell out of that role because that role can be nothing, and you elevated it to magnificence. I gotta tell you.
Well, I'm the king of the bit part. I have made $1 out of 99 cents for about 30 years now. Those are the roles I get.
That's true.
Yep.
It's too true.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're glad you're here now. So happy that you both live here now. They're two local professionals, which is wonderful to have here. They're super talented guys, and they're super guys. You know, they're just really great guys, and we always have such a good time with them. Now, Mr. Marty, why don't you come over here?
Oh.
Make yourself known. Come on, don't be shy. He is.
Me?
So, try to come out of your shell.
Me? Oh,
Try to come out of your shell for a moment.
I find my light.
Now, this is, he always finds it. This is Brent Marty. He's also a very good friend of ours, and he's the musical director for this cabaret, and Brent is also the head of education at Booth Tarkington Civic Theater. And Brent is also musical director for Actors Theater of Indiana quite a few times. We're very fortunate when we can get him.
I'd like to do it more.
Yeah, well, we'd like that too, but sorry,
Schedules.
you have another job.
Schedules.
But thanks, anyway. But
I'm playing to this empty room. It's really
right?
weird.
That's the most reception he's ever gotten.
Who we're playing to? Oh, pictures on the back wall.
Oh, I see them now. Yeah.
Judy, Michael,
The
Betty,
Flatiron Building.
Betty, Ella, and the Flatiron Building, 23 Skidoo. So listen, Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, honestly, we know you, but maybe some people don't know you, believe it or not.
What would you like to know?
Well, are you Hoosier or a Kentuckian?
I was born in Louisville, Kentucky.
There you go.
But I've lived in Indiana all my life. We lived just across the river.
And your dad worked for Coca-Cola.
For 51 years.
Big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Big
And now
deal.
my brother does.
Yeah.
But so we lived north of Louisville. My whole family was in Louisville.
Yeah.
And then when I was about 7 or 8, we moved to South Bend, and that's where I was raised.
Were you?
I love it there.
But then you went to Ball State.
And then I went to Ball State University and was the first musical theater major there.
Right.
And that's just been the guinea pig.
Yeah. But you're still
That's where
involved.
Brent and I met.
That is,
Oh,
yes. Darrin and I did shows.
right. That's
We did.
right.
Working.
Yeah.
We did working together.
did.
Good gravy. I'm learning all kinds of stuff.
I know.
And then, are you? But you're still involved with Ball State.
Yes,
Obviously.
very,
You're
yes.
still very
I'm a proud
involved.
alum.
We are too. We love them. You
Mhm.
know, and
And yes, so yes, still involved there, and,
Yeah.
and very proud of what the department has become. Just
I think so. I
spectacular.
agree. It's absolutely skyrocketed.
yes. So so I graduated there, and then kind of piddled around, and then landed
We all
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
piddled.
I've been working for the Booth Tarkington Civic Theater, which used to be the Indianapolis Civic Theater.
Yes. Before you moved up here to Carmel.
Since 1998.
Yeah.
Yes. I know it's time for my gold watch.
Yeah. And I can't remember when we met.
Mhm.
Was it? Can you remember? Because I can't really. And I
I
was
think
down when you guys were
I
still
do remember
married.
when I met you.
When you were
We were at
married.
Terry Woods' house. I met you at Terry Woods' house.
Okay.
Like
yes.
sitting around, I don't know why
was-
we were there, but
yes,
they were like,
Terry
he's like, oh,
Woods.
this is.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Terry
where we
Woods
met.
had a party. Very good friend of
And
friend
then
of ours
I
also.
did a couple of gigs with you, just that you needed somebody to play for like some of your Andrew Sister stuff or something.
My
we did.
gosh, that's right.
Remember that one I was heinously late to? And then,
Yes.
and then also then
At
Judy
the-
like knocked
at
over the
the
whole
VF
display.
At the
She
VFW.
knocked over the whole display.
At the VFW
outside
hall.
the bathroom.
And the mayor of Indianapolis was there.
Yeah.
Or the governor or
And they're like,
something.
"Where is Brent?" I'm
And-
like, I didn't know it took this long to get here. I didn't know where I was going.
Oh my God, we all
So
were panicking.
it's fine, but it worked.
Yeah.
And then I did Chicago. That was the first thing with ATI,
Okay.
which I love.
Yes, that was wonderful.
Because
were
you
wonderful.
can't get it. Nobody can do it.
No,
So-
the rights are in a vault.
It was.
So
it
that was it. We
it
did
was
it.
like, oh, I get to do Chicago.
Yep,
Finally.
we were very fortunate to get that. That was our first show.
Do it again.
Actually, yes, it was our first show at the center.
It was the first show in the studio.
2011.
Remember, you had to run. The
There
dressing rooms were.
There were no dressing rooms
Yeah.
built yet. None.
And I would always
dressed
forget
in
my
offices
score.
on the third floor.
We made dressing rooms in a conference
In the
room
conference room.
upstairs. We
Yeah.
makeshift dressing rooms. We had to run all the way down around.
Mm-hmm.
There was no the dressing rooms were non-existent. You opened the door, it was gravel,
Mhm.
gravel and nothing. The
Mhm.
garage wasn't. God, it was like the garage was a bit. It was, but it was like
And the floor was this shape.
And we,
They had a lumpy floor when it first started. And so we'd be like, come on, babe. Go
They
home.
made the bossy real easy.
but you know what? We were there.
Yes.
We were there. We had
It's
arrived.
exciting.
Yeah.
And it was exciting. It was our first show, and there was something about it that was really special, and those kind of
And
things.
that was a great cast.
It was a
just
great
good-
cast, and everybody bonded, and it was just we were doing a show. It's like we're putting on a show. We're here. We got here. But anyway, okay.
Okay.
So
That's my story.
and you're sticking to it, and I love it.
Sticking to something.
Um,
You might want to check your
Yeah, right.
Tell me,
I know.
actually-
The floor.
Listen. Tell me. Here's before you because they're going to do a number. We're going to do a number. You're going to get a little. a little piece of what's going to happen here tomorrow night. There's, of course, still time to get your reservations at ATIstage.org. Go to ATIstage.org, and all the information is right on our homepage. So you can go to our website, and all of Feinstein's information is right on the main page there. So, and this is a beautiful, if you've never been to Feinstein's,
Fun.
it is an absolutely lovely, just lovely, intimate, beautiful, I have to say, cabaret space.
Well appointed. Yes.
Yes, right here at the Hotel Carmichael, right here in Carmel. And I personally love performing here as a performer. It's wonderful to perform here on this stage. And it's cabaret, it's intimate. You can't get any more intimate than that. Well, you could. But publicly,
Oh Lord, but we're not going to go
you
there.
can't get any more intimate than
Not without a
cabaret.
mint.
But,
I just did one.
now listen,
El
tell
Centro
me
Hotel.
how you guys, because you obviously collaborated with these guys.
Well, I'm not. I will. I'm just
Who was
gonna-
the mastermind of the material?
Darrin?
Okay.
Yeah, like he's got a
He's a
passion.
curator.
He's got
Well,
a
he
passion
does.
for this. So yeah, he literally just handed me the music and said, "Here's what we're
Okay.
doing." I was familiar with a lot of it.
Well, yeah,
some of it
yeah.
I wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so that's been fun to kind of work on. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
all Darrin. Darrin's driving.
And again, because influenced by your grandfather and how you grew up,
Right.
right? And with what that influence was from that time period.
Right.
Where do the songs in this show, where do they range from? Did you put a range on it?
No, everything's before 1926, so it's all in public domain.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, sure it is, yeah.
So we're not having to even, worry about ASCAP or BMI
Exactly.
royalties or anything
Right.
like that. It's all public domain material, and that really was the heyday of vaudeville. Was up until the Depression, and the Depression kind of killed it a little bit, and then coming out of that Depression, everything else, movies and TV and radio.
Well, burlesque was taking over too, don't you think?
That level of
Don't you think that level of entertainment?
of house, yeah.
They were taking burlesque houses. Were
I mean, it
going-
had been around, but burlesque was just getting respectable, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And the legit acts from vaudeville were moving up into musical comedy shows on Broadway, or they were doing solo acts,
Yeah.
or they were on radio or in the movies.
Yeah.
Like
And,
Fanny Brice, she started doing, like when my mother was a kid, she was already doing Baby Schnooks
right,
on the radio. That's
Yeah.
how my mom knew
But
her.
vaudeville
That's how-
lost a lot of people to other mediums. I mean,
Yeah.
Fred and Estelle Astaire
That's right.
were vaudeville dancers.
George and Gracie Byrne.
Yep.
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 Yeah, and you're right. They all came from vaudeville.
And then
if you look
those
back,
theaters became burlesque houses. That's what happened.
yeah, that's right.
and I mean, I'll say honestly, curating the material was in some parts was challenging. I mean, I know all this material from heart. I've known it since I was a kid.
Yeah.
But of all the material to choose from, obviously, every era, every generation is fraught with political incorrectness and
Yeah.
just flat out racism
Especially
and
back
homophobia
then.
and like
Back then. Absolutely.
misogyny and just
You name
things that were yeah, it was a rip roaring time. But a lot
Cat
of
jugglers.
material
It was the worst in the world.
would fall into that if out of context or even in context.
Yeah.
It's stuff you just can't do anymore
That's
and
right.
wouldn't want to.
Don't
That's
want
right.
So it was a
Yeah.
matter of, but the thing is
Yeah.
that the roots of it, the very core of it all, are strings that go all the way back to the original, Greek dramas and to Commedia dell'arte, and it's
That's it.
it's the archetype characters, and it's the same things that were funny to Moliere or to Aristophanes or whatever
Yep.
are still funny.
Yep.
It's just a different timing because of modern sensibilities, and
Yep.
you put your own modern spin on it, but it's the same bones of the thing. So when I was looking for the material, I was trying to look at things that got straight to the core of that, and it didn't have any of the objectionable material best left to the archives.
Right, exactly. Keep it under. Yeah.
Right,
Well, yeah,
and we
it's
acknowledge
under
that
glass.
in the
Sure,
show,
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And the other thing is we adjust personalities to material, because some of the material was wrapped around things that honestly had roots in minstrelsy, which is
Yeah.
super problematic.
Absolutely.
And so you find a way to tell funny jokes that have nothing to do with race, but were attached to a racial problem, to another way of
Right.
telling those jokes.
Yeah.
And that way you preserve the humor, but not the ugly.
Yeah, and I think that this show, and if you want it, listen, because some people are not going to know all this music,
Right.
No.
I think. Now I know it.
No.
Okay.
But if you watch Bugs Bunny cartoons, you
Oh my! That's how they were brilliant.
For
Those
sure.
cartoons,
Yes.
Warner Brothers, because
Yep.
they played to the adults.
Right.
They played to the adults too. My parents would watch that stuff with me. But
And yet the kids walk away knowing, "Hello, my baby," and "Ain't she sweet?"
That's
and
right.
you know that's stuck in your head for the
That's
rest of your
right.
life, whether
Yeah.
you knew where it come from or not.
that's right. And I think not only this cabaret is totally entertaining. These two guys are wildly entertaining.
we're amazing.
Well, let's not get carried away. But I think it's you're going to get some. To me, you're going to get some education. I think obviously part of theater, obviously part of film is education as well.
It's
You're
part of-
learning.
yeah.
You may not hear any of this music. I didn't know that song. I didn't know oh my gosh. And people might go home and be like, all right, let's look that up.
Yep.
Let's look that up. Where did it come from? Where was the source? People talk about it. That's what this is. When you leave a live performance, when you leave live, entertainment, you should be talking about it. You should be talking and educating yourself, right? And I think that's part of it, and that's why I love this stuff. All right, I think we should do a number.
Oh, all right.
I
Okay,
think
I'll
we
do
should
number
it.
5.
Actually, I'm a number 1. John looks like a number 2. All
I've
right,
said that
listen.
my whole life.
Drop in sometime.
No.
All right, I'm gonna just move back here. I'm gonna move this. Sorry.
Just watch adoringly. That's all we need.
I'm going to sit and watch. Okay, take it away, boys. John Vessels, Darrin Murrell, Brent Marty on the 88s. This is a little taste of Just a Couple of Fools, which is here tomorrow night at Feinstein's at 7:30. You can still get your tickets at ATIstage.org.
How you gonna keep 'em down on the farm after they've seen Harry? How you gonna keep 'em away from Broadway,
Jazzing around.
and painting the town? How you gonna keep 'em away from harm? That's a mystery.
They'll never want to touch a rake or a plow.
And who the deuce can parley-vous a cow? How you gonna keep 'em down on the farm after they've seen Perry? How you gonna keep 'em down on the farm after they've seen Perry?
Say, did you ever work the same bill as a flea circus?
No, but I knew a guy that trained boll weevils.
Boll weevils, you don't say.
There was only one problem. He had 2 different weevils. He had a little bitty weevil that did an acrobat show, and then a big, strong weevil did a weightlifting routine. I only ever had time to watch one of the weevils.
Well, how did you ever decide which one to watch?
Oh, easy. I remember growing up, my dear mother saying, always choose the lesser of 2 weevils.
How you gonna keep 'em away from Broadway
Jazzing around.
and painting the
Say,
town?
did you know a camel can go 8 days without a drink?
Wow, I wonder how long he could go if he did drink.
How you gonna keep 'em away from harm? That's a mystery.
Hey, you want to hear me do an impression of my dog?
Sure. That's an awful high-pitched yowl. I thought you had a setter.
I do. It's a falsetter.
They'll never want to touch a rake or a plow.
And who the deuce can parley-vous a cow?
How are you gonna keep them down on the farm
After they've seen Perry.
Huzzah! John Vessels, Darrin Murrell, Brent Marty on the 88s. Just a Couple of Fools. Come see him at Feinstein's tomorrow night.
Do it.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us at Lunch Break with ATI.